There he is. Look at the size of that crappie, guys. Holy smokes. God bless, what a crappie. Look at that. Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of BassQuest. We're out here testing out this new Shimano SLX DC reel. The guys down at Tackle Freaks were kind enough to send me one. I've been out on the water with it several times now, and I gotta say, I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing with this reel. So we're gonna do a little breakdown a little later on kind of the key features that I've found on this reel. But until then, let's do some fish catching. All right guys, interrupting the video super quick here for some exciting news from Morgan at Tackle Freaks. He actually hooked me up with a sweet discount code for this Shimano SLX DC reel. If you use it, you can actually get this reel cheaper delivered to your door than anywhere else that I know of right now. So stay tuned towards the end. I'll get you hooked up with this. It's gonna be limited quantities, so make sure you move fast. Also at the end, bonus couple swim bait catches for you, so don't miss out. Yeah, I got one. Feels good. Well, we just foul hooked him. Look at that guy. That's one way to get him. He didn't even know what hit him. That's funny. This Shimano seems to be doing really well with the weight and drag of this rig, which is kind of surprising considering it's a higher gear ratio reel. This is a big rig with a lot of blades on it, so the fact that the gearing is still able to support that and I'm easily able to crank is really a good feature. Now I'm casting super light too. This is like a 3/16 ounce tube, maybe even lighter than that. Might be an 1/8 ounce head. I'm getting about the same casting distance. I feel like I'm pretty accurate with it as well. I haven't changed the adjustments on the reel or anything like that. So that's pretty impressive in and of itself. And again, I'm throwing this on 15-pound fluorocarbon too. So when something really light and finessey like that can be a challenge on a heavier line and with bigger baits and presentation. So the fact that it's able to handle that is definitely a A++ in my book. Alright guys, now I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce scrounger head from Hog Farmer. And the reel's handling this really well. One thing I will tell you, with 15-pound test, I've thrown a lot of different weights of lures now. I've fished this reel several days. And I haven't been able to spool the reel. You know, a lot of guys, you see these videos where they cast out and they spool the reel. With 15-pound fluorocarbon and the lightest setting and we using my thumb, I can really send this thing out there. I feel like I'm getting 50, 60 yard cast, but I can't spool that reel completely. I guess if I was using maybe 18-pound test fluorocarbon or braided line, I could probably get close. But I feel that's kind of like selling it a little bit too hard to say that you can spool a reel. You can make a very long cast. I do feel that the DC, the digital chip, does help you. I can feel it engaging. I can feel it taking some of that pressure off, but it's not like a foolproof thing. You still have to do some of the work yourself if you're really going to get everything that you want to get out of this reel. Now I will say that on the highest setting, it pretty much does everything by itself. So if you put this thing on 4 and you send it out there, it will pretty much do what it needs to do. So let me see here. I'll adjust it the way they say to adjust it here, and we'll put it on 4, which is the highest setting. If I send that thing out there, look at that. It pretty much does everything it needs to do by itself. But I feel like I'm not getting really as much distance as I could if I go ahead and open the spool up a little bit more. And that's what I'm used to. I'm used to kind of having a really free reel, doing a lot of the work myself, so I feel like I can push this reel a little bit more. But having that digital chip for a beginner or a weekend angler can really save you some picking out some backlashes, I feel like, in the long run. There's one. On a little scrounger head. Not the size we're after. I'm seeing some really big fish blowing up out there, but Having trouble getting one to eat. There's one. And that little guy throttled it. Little spotted bass. Got him. First cast on the Magic Swimmer. Throwing a smaller bait like this Magic Swimmer is a really good test for the drag on this DC reel. Because again, 15-pound test, 7.3 medium heavy rod, a little bit heavier setup. And if the drag will work on this and keep those hooks from straightening out, that's a really good system there. Seems to be really smooth so far. We got another chunker on. Look at that. Oh yeah. Alright, it's getting late. I should be able to get a reaction right on this rig now. In about 10-15 minutes before dark. Let's see if we can finish out with it. Again, this 7.3 medium heavy rod. 150 size reel. 15-pound fluorocarbon. It's a big rig for that, so in fact, it's handling it's a really good deal. There he is. Oh, that's a good one. Look at that. Oh, come on now. All I gotta say is thank you to Scott for that 5-wire 8-blade rig right there. He makes the best rigs. I mean, that's a fat 4-pounder right there. 15-pound test at Shimano. Drag did what it's supposed to do. Everything worked well. So far, so good with that little thing. Alright, thank you for staying till the end of the video, guys. I'm going to break down some of the things that I like about this reel, some of the things that are kind of so-so to me, and whether or not, in my opinion, this is the right reel for you. Alright, first and foremost, I want to let you know I'm not a Shimano fanboy. I use luge reels. I absolutely love my luge reels, but I've always been fascinated by these DC reels, these digital chip reels from Shimano. And so I really wanted to try one out, and that's why Morgan sent this to me to give kind of a really honest review, my opinion on this reel. Alright, for starters, one thing I really like about the reel is it's got a super smooth drag. I've been able to use this, as you saw, with tons of different baits, from super lightweight finesse baits, drop shots, Magic Swimmers, all the way up to big swim baits and rigs and things like that. So I kind of gotten a really good feel. I've caught some good fish on it now, and the drag has performed flawlessly for me. One of the things I wasn't as ecstatic about was the weight of the reel. It comes in at 7.6 ounces, and when you're talking about a reel that's up around that $200 range, typically you're in that 6-ounce range. A lot of times you're actually in low 6s. So for it to be that heavy, basically what this is it's a $100 reel with that DC chip in there. So just know that up front. You know, you've got a plastic drag or a star on the drag. There's some components of it that are not what you would typically see on a $200 reel, but what you're really paying for is that digital chip. And to me, the digital chip in a lot of ways is really worth it. One thing I noticed when I was adjusting this, it's super easy to adjust. You basically just tighten the side tension knob there until you don't have any play in the spool anymore. And then you adjust. You have 4 settings here, so really simple. Takes all the guesswork out of it. Most of the time what I found myself on is 2. It has settings depending on what kind of line type you have, but to me, I use it, I want that spool really free so I can get the maximum cast. So if you put this thing on 4, like I said in the video, you can fire that out there and pretty much it's almost backlash proof at that point. But also you're losing some casting distance, so it's something that if a beginner picks up this reel, they can really get the feel for bait casting really quickly. Also, if you're kind of a weekend angler or you're somebody that doesn't get out in the water as often, this could keep you from picking out backlashes more often. And when we're talking about fluorocarbon, you know, that's expensive. You get a spool of fluorocarbon on here, it might be $10, $12, $13 of line on there, so you don't want to be backlashing and causing issues with that line where you're having to re-spool. One thing I will tell you is I did a lot of flipping and kind of some really short roll casting and stuff, and I've noticed with this reel for short roll cast, you know, those little accurate casts, it is absolutely amazing for that. The digital chip kicks in and it really is intuitive and knows, it feels like it knows what's going on so that you get the proper amount. It takes the guesswork out of it. I mean, that's really the only way I know how to say it. It's super smooth for doing that. But on the other hand, when I tried to, you know, do some skipping or flipping, I noticed that thing was trying to, the digital chip was trying to kick in. It was actually raising my cast. And for a lot of people that are just starting out doing that, that can be great because it can keep you from backlashing or having some kind of issue with your cast. But someone who's been doing it a long time like myself, I want a super free reel. I don't want that thing rising up. I want to be able to tuck into the smallest, most narrow places. That's one thing I wasn't as big of a fan of. Other than that, it feels like a really solid reel. The handles feel solid. It's really smooth. The gearing in it, even though it only has, I think, 5 ball bearings, which is, again, lower on the spectrum when you're talking about a $200 reel, that's kind of a minus, but on the plus side, it is very, very, very smooth. You know, it's as smooth as some of my $160, $170 reels in my opinion. One thing I noticed is that it's also very intuitive, so I didn't really have to change the settings a bunch between baits. When I was throwing an 1/8 ounce drop shot, I had it on 2, had the same settings. When I was throwing the rig, I had it on the same settings. I can feel that chip kind of making up for the change in weight of the bait, which I think is really cool. All right, now for the meat and potatoes of this. Should you get this reel? And I think yes, for a $180 reel, you're really getting a lot here. For one, you're getting the digital chip, which everybody knows that's just awesome to have. Everyone should own one of these reels just because it's something cool. It's unique. It makes a cool sound when you cast it. It's really smooth. It's just something you have to experience once as a bass fisherman if you're pretty serious about it. And for two, it's going to be great for younger anglers, especially high school, college age guys. It's an affordable reel, something that's going to be a workhorse reel. It's going to pair well with your rods that are in that $80 to $150 range with the weight and everything. It's going to be balanced. This was a Joe Burns custom rod. Absolutely pairs great with that. And there's a ton of things you can do with it. So instead of having a bunch of different reels, you know, I'm blessed to be able to get a bunch of different size reels. So I've got 300 size reels. I've got reels with deeper spools. I'm able to adjust the reel to fit the technique. With this one reel can do a lot of techniques. So you pick up 4 or 5 of these, you can put on a bunch of different types of line and run a bunch of different techniques with this reel. So just great things out there. And with that discount code, it even brings it down further. I'm gonna put that down right now. So check out that discount code. It'll get you this reel, I believe, out the door to your house for somewhere around 180 bucks. I don't think you can get it for a better price anywhere else. Limited quantities, jump on it now. But anyway, guys, stay tuned. I'm about to play a couple awesome big swim bait clips. That's going to close out the video. But as always, I hope you loved it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I'm going to be putting out more videos like this. And I hope this week finds you out on the water, because I'll catch you there. on the DC. Nice one.
And that little got smoked. Little fish hit that swim bait so hard.